top side of Daybreak as it just started up this game. This game is a makeup game, guys, so it's not live. We actually do have two games that are sort of live today, as in they are not played yet, but since both of them consist, well, actually Masa vs Dongregu might be really live, but it depends a lot on the schedule. In any case, Masa vs Dongregu and Hawk vs Alive is going to happen in the upcoming 2 hours. By the time we broadcast it, we have the replays, because we're obviously going to cast the series first. Then we have the replays up already, so those games are pretty much live. But our first 3 series, they have been played over the course of the last few days.
That is exactly right. Got to keep those games fresh, Kev, as Alive is not showing us anything like what we saw on the previous map. No SCVs out on the map at 11 supply, so we don't have to worry about the proxy 2 racks. What will he do, I wonder? He definitely has a reputation for hyper-aggression throughout the regular season, and he's talked about this before. People have asked him, hey, Alive, why do you always do this? And he says that he just doesn't really enjoy the cross-server latency that he sometimes has to deal with, and because of that, he chooses hyper-aggressive builds that maybe, I don't know, that maybe tilt it a little bit so that he can win faster and maybe doesn't have to deal with a big late game situation where he does have to control, 50 stem marines against zerglings, infestors, banelings. That's really hard to do in lag.
You know, Ben, I have a confession to make, and this is a pretty big one, and it's kind of a funny story. Like, it's kind of, I don't really think it's bad-mannered. It's maybe a little bit naughty. Could be smart. I have no idea how to really describe this. But once upon a time, I was playing in the WC3O, which was by far the most prestigious online league for Warcraft 3 out there. And my team, Fnatic, we had a clan war against World Elite, a Chinese-based team, and they had super, super good players. But the Chinese players, they often had quite a bit of lag on the North American server. I had to play from Europe on NA, so I was lagging a little bit too. And I had to play against Ted, and Ted was on that moment considered to be perhaps the best undead player in the world. And he also, well, his micro was just fantastic, and he was just very good in the matchup against Orc. So I basically made a strategy which consisted of speed scrolling in, which would give my army a boost, and then I would only focus his hero. And the moment you lose your hero in Warcraft 3, you're in a world of trouble because you're going to lose the fight. So, but it can be very bad as well, because if you over-focus the hero and you don't kill it and then town portal out, you kind of lose a few units and you don't really get a whole lot out of it. But because I knew that he had a lot of lag, I just stimmed in, right-clicked on his hero all the time, and he had to like TP very early on, town portal to his TP. Otherwise he would lose his hero if he would like wait too long with it. So basically every single time he had to town portal home without killing a unit, otherwise he would take a risk of losing his hero. And I just kept doing that, and then I won against that. Because I forced him like to town portal 4 times on a row, which might have been a little bit rude, but it's a legit strategy, focusing a hero a bit.
Wow.
Hey, you have to work with the strategy you're given, right?
That reminds me of a game that I played with Stefano once, where we challenged Stefano. We said, Stefano, you're the king of multitasking in StarCraft 2. Can you play 2 games of StarCraft at the same time? And so Stefano played against me and Frodan at the same time. He had 2 computers in front of him, and he had to play on each of them. And of course, knowing that he was going to be taxed to the limit, I did the most annoying harassment-based things that I could possibly do, like keeping my drone in his base, harassing his workers constantly, and just running around with speedlings and doing run-bys and stuff like that all the time. And he got actually pretty annoyed at me. He said, you are crap at this game.
Yeah, actually Stefano gets really mad over a lot of things. And whenever you want to tell him a story about like perhaps a good victory that you're proud of, he looks at you and says, you're very proud of yourself, aren't you? Like, wow, sorry that we don't all win international championships all the time, Elias.
It's like, geez, Elias, I'm sorry that I'm not the 2nd best player in the world.
Elias is very funny. Anyways, Ben, we see a Hellion opening over here from Alive, who opened up with a pretty quick expand as well. We saw Red going up to 3 bases super, super quick though. This is almost like he's playing Zerg versus Protoss on this map. I cannot imagine that he's immediately going to saturate that base, Ben, as soon as there's going to be 6 to 8 Hellions on the map.
He's going to have a really hard time dealing with Hellions, Kevin, as he doesn't have any Zergling speed. He's only now started mining some gases. There's no Roach Warren. He basically has nothing on the map that deals well with Hellions. This is going to be further complicated by the fact that Alive's following this up with some Banshees. He went Command Center first, into gas, into Barracks, and into double gas. So not just Banshees, but Cloaked Banshees. And Rhett, unfortunately, is not going to get that good scout off. He's going to fly right past the starport, and this Marine is going to shoot down this Overlord.
It's a pretty decent scout, nevertheless, as he scouts both refineries.
Actually, oh man, Alive does end up spotting that starport. That's a really big deal as the first Hellions do get in the back of Rhett's base. He's going to be forced to defend with drones. That's never what you want.
Really nice micro though by Red. He didn't really lose all that much over there, but he lost 4 in a trade of 3 Hellions. I think that's actually quite good. And as you mentioned as well, while I was looking at the Hellions already, well, this one Hellion, oh, drone, he believes. A tribute to Superman maybe on this glorious day.
Do it for
Christopher Reeve.
For Krypton.
Well, more Hellions are in production, even though, but I didn't feel that it went all that bad for Red, as Red is currently at 58 drones already, so that really didn't go all that bad. And as I mentioned before, he did manage to see the starport, and he also saw the tech left spinning around, so unless it's a fake, he should know about Cloak as well. So far, no spore. Oh, there goes.
Yeah, he's just finished the Evo chamber, which is why he wasn't able to start the spores until just this moment. Banshee's still going to be a little annoying, Kevin. Cloak is done. She's going to fly around and get quite a few drone kills. Rhett is not taking any chances. He immediately evacuates with those workers. Hellions
coming in at the same time, though, in the natural, but there are quite a few links. Red's going to try to get this around once more. Does a pretty decent job so far.
And Alive perhaps being a little bit over-eager. Running those Hellions all the way up into the main base, loses every single one of them, and that is always a pretty painful loss. Drones not going to be sent back up into the main. Rhett, as you've already pointed out, doing a pretty good job of minimizing the damage he's taken here. He's still at 60 workers. Banshee's still flying around trying to be annoying, but she's basically forced to try and find small openings here and there, and every time she does, she takes more and more damage. Eventually, she's just going to have to go home.
Red still has a small worker lead, but it's nowhere near as big as it was before. Alive is turret commander is almost done as well, while we see double factory going down and double armory, so it's starting to look more and more like MVP's mech build. And we see Muda play out of Red Pen.
Yeah, and this is a bit of an old school Muda style, Kevin. He has skipped everything. The only upgrade he's getting is +1 armor for his Zerglings. And going straight to Spire. That means he's going to have pulled up a pretty significant amount of gas by the time that Spire finishes. He'll probably be able to make close to 10, maybe even 12 mutas.
Of course, with that old school Spire style, Ben, Zerg was staying on 2 base much longer than Red was in this game. But nevertheless, 4 Hellions are going to run into this base once more. This time, Red didn't have links in position. He's going to end up losing quite a few drones. I don't even think this is going to be enough, right?
Lings continue to stream in. Queen doing a good job of poking away at these Hellions and will eventually clean it up, but not before more workers get roasted. Rhett, though, has been droning so effectively, Kevin. Even after losing 20 drones, he's got 82 drones to 62 SCVs. Yeah,
that is very well done by Red, despite, as you said, losing quite a few drones. Now, losing drones is inevitable against Hellions and Cloak Banshees. 20 is a little bit much. If he picks up this Banshee, it would already be nice. But it's still okay. It's definitely something he can work with. Wow. I have no idea what's going on over here, but just ignore that, guys. 4th command center is going up over here as well. Well, more Hellions are making their way over into the natural. Oh, Red, he's going to light up all the drones, man.
And he's going to throw. He's definitely going to lose a couple of workers, but it doesn't. Oh, man, more big shots going down as Alive picks up about 8 more drone kills and critically sees these mutas. Now, Alive was already producing Thors. He hasn't made a single siege tank, so the mutas weren't that big of a threat to begin with, but now that Alive knows they're coming, he even has the luxury of having time to throw down this engineering bay so he can start making turrets. I think Alive's in a fine position here, Kevin.
Yeah, I think it's more than fine. And what I want to say, Ben, before we were both slightly distracted, is that this kind of reminds me a little bit of Major Juan's play. I don't know if you're feeling the same way. Of course, MVP is the one who started with all this, but the way that Major just continuously sacrifices Hellions left and right, and while the first few might not be all that successful, eventually he did find a hole in a lot of games that we casted of him, and he did manage to pick off a lot of drones. And I'm starting to feel that it's... look at this Hellion. It was balling out of control. Did you see it? He's like, whoop! And he went to the right again.
The moonwalking Hellion. I like the sign that he's next to.
Take a look at it. What does it say?
Check it out on my screen.
Real man. Okay. We can go many ways with that. For now, we're just going to stick to the SCV power drill. No.
Mutas are out in mass, Kevin, and the Thor count also starting to climb. There's only 4 out right now, but we're still seeing them produced 2 at a time. So that's good news for Alive.
Oh,
man, Red is making so many drones.
So many exposed drones over here as well. Well, we have 4 Hellions once more. He didn't see the drones yet. Now he's going to see them. Also going to reveal the fact that he has blue flame, but that cannot really be a surprise anymore for Red.
No, certainly Rhett would be expecting this eventually.
Yeah.
Every one of these drones, I think, is going to end up dying. Rhett's going to transfuse a drone. You don't see that very often. And it was all for naught, as every drone, it does end up dying.
Man, that drone has some serious healthcare. It was definitely not an American drone, Ben. Oh, sorry. Ben always gets mad when I make jokes like that. Must have been a European drone.
That drone didn't have the foresight to invest in his own insurance. He deserved to die.
Wow, Red is currently at 106 drones. Look at this, man. How silly does this look? This is a game that's 50 minutes old. He has 106 drones and he lost 36 drones throughout the entire game.
I still think he's going to have a really tough time dealing with the army of Alive. Now, we do see Rhett transitioning over into some Roaches, but his Roach upgrade's pretty delayed. His Roach speed's not done. Burrow's not done. He's only just now kind of getting going with +1 missile attacks. For Roaches to really trade effectively with Thors, I feel like you have to have 2-2.
Yeah, at least. You need to get super good upgrades, and more importantly, Ben, I feel that the engagement is going to be super crucial as well. Now, Red's cruise threat is not bad, but just imagine if you could actually swarm around those stores, like really one-shot them and get those massive volleys off. It's going to be a lot easier to deal with Thors rather than when it's going to be off creep and Alive is going to have more time to position himself better.
Red also has to get rid of some of these drones, Kevin. 108 drones, that is making his army so much smaller. He's maxed out right now with only 26 Roaches. That sounds kind of ridiculous when we see when we regularly see ZVPs where Zerg players make 50 Roaches.
Yep, not just that. I think it's just going to be a matter of time, and I think he wants to get a sick amount of larva as well. He's going to fly in the middles right now into the Thors. Red is just going to completely sacrifice almost all of them, and only 2 remain. Wow. For a second I thought it was on purpose, but considering the fact that he wanted to save them, I guess it wasn't.
Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. The fact remains that these mutas are not the most valuable fighting units at this stage of the game. So while it certainly hurts to lose those units without doing damage, he can definitely afford it. We do see Hellions coming up into the natural expansion of Rhett right now. And wow, the drones. Kevin, the drones.
Well, he had to get rid of a couple of drones, Ben. He's going to get rid of a lot of drones as we have Hellions over here in the right bottom side of this map as well. 2 Queens are working on those Hellions, but not before picking up pretty much each and every single drone.
From 110 to 65, that's one way to free up some supply. We do see Red starting to transition towards Broodlord tech. If Alive was paying attention, he should have seen those first Corruptors popping out, and that should definitely prompt him to start producing Vikings. He only has a single starport.
7 Broodlords in production. Those Broodlords will be out in time, and Broodlords of course should be able to deal with Thors as long as you are able to protect your Broodlords just a tiny little bit. The first Infestors are in production now as well. We still have 24. Oh, Ben, look at the Broodlords. This is so clutch. Oh, he has a few seconds.
They need to finish. Thors coming forward. Banshees are not going to add much to this fight. Wow, certainly at least 2 Broodlords dying almost instantly. 2 more. Looks like they're probably going to fall as well. Rhett's in a lot of trouble right now, Kevin. He's still maxed out, but Alive's army's just so incredibly strong.
Just 3 Thors remaining. That should be okay, I guess. Well, 2 Thors remaining. I guess eventually he will be able to get it. Certainly with the reinforcements.
Okay, transfusion starting to be used. That's actually a huge, a very big play from Rhett. Keeping those last 2 Broodlords alive is going to buy him the time he needs to push Alive back. And one thing that Rhett definitely had going for him was a nice big bank. He's able to remax easily. Alive, however, doesn't enjoy that same luxury. Dipping down to 140 supply as the Roaches come forward.
Some serious splash damage dealt on all those Roaches though, and I think the tanks, well, the Infested Terran should be able to clear up these tanks, but at least most of the Roaches were taken care of. More Roaches streaming in though, Ben. Red is still maxed, even though a lot of his supply is still in production, he is still maxed.
Yeah, and he somehow managed to get back up to 80 drones at the same time. So the King of Drones showing that his title was well earned. Banshee's still just kind of pecking away at everything. Eventually they're going to run out of energy though, and these Corruptors will shoot him down. Alive still hasn't really started producing Vikings. He is finishing up a couple more starports. We do see Hellions continuing to run around and be very annoying in the back of Rhett's 4th expansion. 75 workers have died this game. And Rhett still has 77 workers out on the map. That is just incredible.
Upgrades heavily favoring Alive right now, though, man. As 3-3 is ready for his mech units already, while Red is just working on 2-1, actually 2-2 for his Roaches. I don't believe we have any aggro upgrades. No, we don't. So upgrades favoring Alive, but of course, economy is favoring Red. Even though Alive is comfortably on 4 bases, he's going to need that 5th base eventually.
Yeah, Rhett's going to deny it for the time being. Might even end up shooting down this command center as there's nothing really out on the map to answer for these Corruptors. Viking production still hasn't really gotten going, and again we see...
Oh, no!
Oh, my! Ouch! Rhett's going to try to burrow the drones, but it is not going to work, and that is officially going to take us over the 100 drones killed mark, Kevin, as Rhett makes his way further up into the natural. And more of Rhett's workers will fall. These Blue Flame Hellions might actually kill the Greater Spire. While this is happening, though, look at Rhett getting very aggressive, but...
There are planetary fortresses everywhere. Corrupt is working on those Banshees right now, but Red is... I don't think he's going to be able to take out Alive, but Red is producing 30 drones at once right now, by the way.
I mean, he's got to do it. That takes him back up to 57 workers, which is enough for him to sustain his economy, but still, the Hellions are just roasting everything everywhere. Rhett's final few units on the Alive side of the map do eventually get cleaned up, and all of a sudden, Alive sitting at 180 supply against the 100 supply of Rhett. Rhett has lost 130 drones this game.
Wow, that's not very often I've seen that. I won't say it's a record because I watched a ridiculous TVT once between Fargo and I think Dignitas Merge, where I think over 200 workers were killed or something like that. But 130 drones in a 23-minute game.
That has to be the most drones ever killed in a TVZ. It certainly feels that way. Hellions again going to make their way into the back of Rhett's fourth base. And at some point, Kevin, it's very difficult to plan for this stage of the game, but at some point you have to say to yourself, all right, start walling off with some Evo chambers, some hatcheries. Do something to limit the mobility of these Hellions.
Red has so much gas, though. He's just not really able to use it right now, as he used almost all of his minerals on drones. The moment you lose 100... How much is that in minerals, man? 130 drones. It's crazy.
Is that 5,000? 6,500? Is that right?
I have to do the math as soon as this game is over. It's not very hard. Well, nice Pongo on top of all those Vikings, but I'm afraid it's a little too late, man, as those stores are never going to fall. Red just doesn't have any answer to 11 tours with 3-3 upgrades, and wow. Well, normally all that we see Alive do in the NASL, well, that's not really true either, but what he often does in NASL is 11-11 Rexes. Red goes G. Imagine if he would have typed a G for every drone he lost. Then he would have...
We'd still be sitting here, Kev, waiting for him to tap out. As Alive's going to win 2-0. That game brought to you guys by Stamps.com. Hassle-free postage from your PC.
152 drones in the end. So if 10 drones is 500 minerals, then 100 drones is 5,000 minerals, and then half of that is 7,500, and 2 more, so 7,600 minerals lost in drones.
Guys, for a special promotion on your own Stamps.com stamps, head over to nasl.tv/p/stamps. Our next game.
It's another red game.
What is our next game? It is another red game. It's Red versus Arthur, and that's actually the scheduled game for this week, which is going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk all about it when we get back. North American Star League Season 4 returns after this short break.